Well, I guess I need to make a follow-up for this, I guess. So, back in 2019, I recorded a small video of me actually getting a sideways Wii remote working for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Originally, the video was just to show some friends that it's now possible for me to use a Wii remote in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I did record a small gameplay demo of it and uploaded it to YouTube. But after seeing it, it got over 12K views on it now, and a few questions from people leaving comments, which I did address before YouTube deleted them when I moved my channel to a brand channel, and DMs on Discord asking me how to set it up and what I use. I'm going to go over how to set it up, and also let's discuss its tournament legality, because I'm pretty sure there are going to be some people who want to use this in tournament. And before you ask, yes, you will need to purchase a certain adapter just to make this work, and you have to keep up with its firmware updates just to make sure it will stay working. So what you will need to set this up is the Switch itself, a Wii remote, an 8-bit wireless USB adapter. Yeah, that's actually the name of the adapter. And either a Switch dock or a USB-C to USB adapter. Alright, to get started, we need to go into our Switch settings real quickly and turn on Switch Pro Controller Wired Communications. So here, head to System Settings. Then let's head all the way down to Controllers and Sensors. Then, as you can see, there is Pro Controller wired communication. Turn this on so the adapter will be able to work. Then, once you have that set up, let's go and put this into the dock real quickly. So I'll do that. Come on, TV, turn on. There it is. Alright, now what you want to do is take this USB adapter, 8-bit wireless USB adapter, and we'll just plug this in to the Switch. So I'll show you quickly. And you'll see that there's an LED flashing on saying, now let's go, like, bring this stand so that way I can put it down. And now you just hit this little sync button on this controller along with the sync button on the Wii remote. So I'll put this right here inside the camera so we can show you. So hit the sync button right here and hit the sync button right here. Now you see the flashing? The controller will rumble, and now if we bring this up, hit a button, and now we have it working on the Switch. Yeah, this is actually a bad camera angle, but I'm trying my best. Alright, before we move on, I want to address that I changed up my layout for this real quickly, as I'm using a different camera and also using a different software. So I'm using OBS to actually record the rest of this video. So what you're seeing here is me pointing a webcam right here, which is what I'm using right here, at my TV. This was how I'm going to be showing you how I actually really got this working, and yes, this is still working, by the way. Okay, and the left side right here, where if my hand wasn't cut off, this is basically going to be showing the gameplay directly via a capture card I got. So this is just intended to show that in case you can't really see what's going on here and you want me to explain what I'm seeing, this is basically why. So anyways, let's get back into this. Now, originally in my initial video of me using a Wii remote for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I originally was just going into the Switch settings, and you had to actually just load up Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, create a new name. For example, I would just type in this, Wii, for example, and then just change the button mapping. However, this thing reads as a Switch Pro controller due to how the 8-bit wireless USB adapter reads this. So you can already see a problem then if you have used a Wii remote on Super Smash Bros. For Wii U or Brawl. I'll put up a screenshot of me taking of what the controller will look like if you were trying to remap it in that game. Are you beginning to see the problem here? Yeah, the problem is that now, like, aside from not being able to map two buttons as one input, you can't use the minus button. So originally, I would have just mapped it like this. A, since this is reading as the A button, would be my grab button. My Y button would have been my special button. My B button would have been attack, and then X would have been my shield. And then I was just playing like this. That's how I originally got this set up. I couldn't use the minus button at all, and I am fully aware of this still. The problem now, like, you still have this, at least with B and Y pressing together as a smash attack. So 1 and 2 like this, and you got her B button as shield. But then the A button has to be your grab now, and if you were comfortable using minus, you were out of luck at the time. However, we got 10.0.0 for the Switch updates to thank, because now we can actually use this minus button. So what we can do here is, if I head into the home menu, I would basically go into system settings. Let's go to controllers and sensors, change button mapping, and now we can change this. So change. So we now can map the minus button to something useful in the game. So for example, I guess we'll just change this to the X button. So we'll just change. So press minus as X. For the A button, we're going to change this to something like R. And for this X button, which is basically the B button right here, we'll change that to something like ZL. And then B and Y, we'll just set that to A and B. So the B button will be A, and the Y button will now be B. Then just click done, and now if we hit A, it's not going to read as A anymore. Now we just need to hit the 2 button, which now will read as A. And there you go. Now that's done. So now, just hit the home button. Let's go to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate again, and reset its button. So with this, let's just reset to default. And now, if we were just to test this out real quickly, we now have the minus button be read as X, and now we can just change this X button to be something else. So we'll just change X here to grab. And then now if we test it, here we go, minus, and that's it. Now we have grab, and just like that, with default controls for the Wii remote again. And to make sure you have this saved, please make sure you save this name. So just back out and click the save icon, or just press plus right here, and there you go. Now you can just use this for games. So for those who really want to know how to set up a Wii remote just to play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate casually, the video is pretty much over, but hang on a bit. I do want to take the time to address those who actually want to use this in tournament. If you're one of the really rare people who actually want to use this in tournament, which I do question why, but I won't pry into the details, would you be allowed? Well, I'm not able to speak authoritatively on this topic, so I decided to get into contact with some tournament organizers who run offline events and are much more qualified than me, so let's hear them out. Alright, so here I am with one of the people who actually helped me get started with esports, specifically Smash Bros. I want you to introduce yourself, because I think it
Hello,
would be more
everybody.
proper for you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Victor Palacios, but everybody calls me Wiz. I am the owner and founder of GameCrossingLLC, which is a comprehensive youth esports academy. We've been around since 2015. Legally, we've been around since 2016, and we've hosted over 300 tournaments since then. We are the youth organization I believe that everyone is looking to help esports grow here in SoCal, specifically for the better. And yeah.
So yeah, I just go by Dave, and my tag is HylianDave. The owner of Land Hero. We did Super Smash Brothers on Switch, and we host a couple other games.
And I'm happy to be here because this gentleman right here is one of the smartest kids I think I know now.
Thanks for the
Right
compliment.
on.
So I just want to ask, like, how long have you actually been running Smash events for it before we get this all started on this whole thing? Because I think it might be best to clarify that how come, like, I want to make sure that I can qualify you for this whole thing, if I may be honest.
Okay. So my professional career name or label is I'm an esports platform engineer. I've done national work, I've done local work. I'm working now internationally with people. But I've been running tournaments since 2015 out of my garage. 2016 in August of 2016, we started running them in public venues. And ever since then, since 2016 and now 2021, we've only run them pretty much in public venues.
And I've been a TO and tournament organizer for the past 5 years or 6 years. 5 if you don't count last year, the pandemic.
Early 2020 was a disaster, especially for tournament, and since we couldn't go for the offline locals.
Yeah.
All right.
But I have a question.
Go ahead.
How easy is it to set it up?
I could relatively show you like right now if
like how long does it take to like if you just got to a new setup, to a new setup?
Let me test it out. Yeah. Like so I got of course I got the switch on and then I'm gonna plug in the adapter so then we'll time it. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
So, yeah, just let me head back to the switch set. Of course, I'm just like for example, we just have a game loaded up and then of course like I just take out the right Joy-Con, like I just slide that in and then we'll just hit the home button, then like just immediately go to this switch settings. Like settings, go to turn on the system sensors, Pro Controller wire communication, which I just turned on, and then you would just confirm that. Then
is that something you could leave on the whole time?
Yeah, the switch Pro Controller wire communication. It won't shut off. Like it will always stay on until you actually choose to shut it off itself. Then just plug in this adapter, and then like because this Wiimote's already synced up, like we'll just go there immediately and just hit the sync button in case, and then now like it should be syncing up, and now this thing's on. So like if I were to hit like a button, and so yeah, it just shows like I just hit a button and then we'll reset the button mapping just for this demonstration. I go to system settings, then just I guess controller sensors, change button mapping, and then pretty much just change the minus button, and then like to something like I can map that's not really used here, so probably like I guess ZL button, and then that's it. I just click done, and that's it. Now it's ready.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's how fast it would take. But that's how long it would take. And like because I made a couple of mistakes trying to show you, I think it might have gone a little bit faster, but time could vary a bit.
So whoever brings that also needs to bring a little.
Well, technically, this thing is just so that way it can be used like in the portable mode. Like you don't really need this. You just need to plug this into a USB port on the Switch dock, and that's it.
Okay.
First off, like I have to turn on Pro Controller wire communication for this, and it's been studied and tested that this thing, like if you actually were to turn on Switch Pro Controller wire communication, apparently the official Pro Controllers would actually introduce more input delay, and this is still true to this day, which is why I'm actually concerned about it. So, what are your thoughts if I were to actually turn on Switch Pro Controller wire communication just for this thing to work?
If it causes if you turn it on, is it going to cause? Does it cause other sources to? I know you said it causes the Pro Controller to have a sort of a lag. My thoughts on that would be, as long as it doesn't alter someone else's play or their ability to play the game at their best, as long as it doesn't do any of that, I don't see why there would be I don't see where there would be a problem. The problem because it's the competitor's choice on whether they should what kind of controller they feel comfortable with, unless that controller gives that competitor an advantage or alters someone else's connectivity to that console if they are wireless. Because I get it. It's not gonna hurt anything that's wired. Okay. Not only that, then we have to get into the part where what's in that thing. What it if can you modify that thing to capture any information? So that is another concern I would have for a third party adapter like that. It would be like, okay, what information is it going to be able to obtain via Wi-Fi, via being inserted into that dock, or is it going to bring me a virus to my Switch? That's another thing I would be concerned of. But as far as competitive play, if it doesn't harm anything, and the worst case scenario, it gives 1 to 2 frame lag for the competitor, that's the competitor's like choice. That's their what's the word I'm looking for? That's, I guess, prerogative. That's their business. Like that's for them to know. If does it give somebody an advantage? I don't know, but it depends on maybe there's something that the player likes where, hey, I play better with the 2 frame lag than I do with instant 1 millisecond input. That is so my concerns would be what I said, but as far as the competitor using it, I think that would be up to the competitor. And if TOs were to allow it, it would definitely have to be something that would have to be tried and proven that Radroach is on his way home. Tried and proven before we actually gave it the legalities in tournament play.
Yeah, so any in general, I think wireless controllers will always have a bit of input lag more than a wire controller. And as a tournament organizer and a competitor, I wouldn't want to put myself at a disadvantage versus another player. And you might not be able to tell the input delay if you're new to competitive gaming, but the further you get up into, the higher the ranks you climb, you're going to realize that your controller is holding you back. So overall, I think it's okay if you're new to the game, you're new to competitive gaming, competitive Smash, but I highly suggest to switch over to a regular GameCube controller as soon as possible.
In my video I have actually been working on, we actually use the Switch's settings to remap the buttons itself. So then we can actually have like the minus button, which was used back in the Smash 4 and Brawl days for just pressing it to grab. So then we just changed that one button to be a button we can map for the game. So what were your thoughts on that? If I ask, because this adapter can take advantage of that little feature that happens. But I think we've already had a controversial discussion before in the past that like when there's people discussing it if it should be legal or not. So what are your thoughts?
I think the current controller setup I think gives you a lot of ability to map, whether it's like a pro controller or your regular controller. So having the ability to map the Wiimote, or yeah, I think is fine. I really don't. I think at the end of the day, like at the end of the day, if people are concerned about the legality of a Wiimote, I think it's only concerning if it's proven to be such at a like disadvantage or such an advantage given to the player. But even if it did, I don't know, the Wiimote's just such an awkward controller. Like
Yeah, like with only like the D-pad, the B button back here, and then just 2 buttons right here. So you got like
yeah,
technically 3 buttons you can easily access, and then you have 2 buttons which are hard and a little bit hard to, like out of reach at times.
yeah. So I just don't see it like I see it being a niche thing. I feel like I feel like only a few people really would want this, and if they and I don't see them like I don't see anybody using this controller getting in the top 20 and PR. And if they did, then it's like okay, then maybe people would like check it out. But I mean, if you can't even, I don't know. So like currently, I was looking at the we're talking about legality. I was looking at tournament rules just to refresh myself.
As a tournament organizer, my main concern is fair playing field and all inclusive, right?
Mhm.
Fair playing field, all inclusive. Everybody gets to play, and there's no walls that people are going to have to jump over or have an obstacle for them to be able to compete fairly. Button remapping, again, we have to get into that. If it's custom to the player, that should be fine. If you're, like I said, the only way that I would be against the product would be if it alters gameplay as far as your competitor being at a disadvantage, because again, all inclusive fair level play games or fair level of gameplay. So button remapping, it's just it says the latest version of Switch's firmware has introduced a button remapping, allowing players to customize what buttons corresponds with what inputs. Again, that is the preference of the player, allowing for a greater variety of freedom when grappling with the controller for each game. So it's definitely based on the comfortability of the player. I mean, you're not altering the actual controller itself, like the hardware. It's still the same. It's still the same layout. We'll just take my controller. My thoughts on that are this: those players would have to be, if that was allowed. And I just had the thought right now: if that was allowed, just say it was allowed. Every single player with that type of controller and adding that input to the minus button, those players would have to be either watched during their matches by a pool captain or tournament organizer, and prior to them, they would have to do like a button inspection prior to every single match or game they played, because I know people want to win. And even if they came to the TO and said, "Oh, I'm going to do a button check with you with my Wiimote controller that I'm going to use, and I've added the input to the minus button." TO goes and watches him do the input display. TO walks away. The guy changes his input scheme, and now he may have the ability to cheat within the game or the match. Just saying. I'm just kind of throwing what ifs out there.
Yeah, so here's the thing about like the Switch Pro Controller, like the Switch remapping itself, is that you can only remap buttons. There's no hard macros like where you can do easy quarter circles or something like that. It's only just remapping locations of buttons. So, for example, like if you were more comfortable with pressing, like for example, like you're not comfortable with the Switch Pro Controller layout for the ABXY, and you're more comfortable with something like Xbox, and then they just remap it so that way they're more comfortable with that. Like for example, that's all it really can do. That's all it really can do. Yeah, that's all the Switch Pro Controller. But that's all the Switch in-system button mapping can do. That's all it can do. Nothing else. Well, however, there is the issue where it can duplicate inputs, so you can have 2 A button presses as well.
Interesting.
And here's the worst part about it. I have another controller on me. Like, let me see if I can grab this out real quickly. Like, I have a bunch of third-party controllers, such as this PDP or Fight Pad, right? Or even like, the Power Egg, or even these Power Egg controllers. Here's the problem, and where I want to actually make this big distinction between these. Apparently, the Switch can actually identify that these are the that these are officially licensed third-party controllers, and the Switch will
Like
not,
this one.
and I repeat, not allow it. Yeah, so like those controllers you're holding, the Switch will not allow you to remap them in the Switch button mapping itself. I've been personally against the idea of like saying like we should allow the Switch in-game in-system button mapping itself. Well, since not every single controller can take advantage of it, such as these controllers, for
Right.
example. Because if I were to plug this in and plug this into the Switch, it's apparent, and you go to the Switch settings and you try to go change button mappings, you'll see that the Switch will not allow them to be used. It was for remapping the buttons. You can
Okay.
only do like whatever input mapping you have, such as this Power A controller where you have back paddles you can map any button to. That's it. No hard macros such as easy quarter circles or anything like that. So what do you think about that since I want to bring that up? Considering that
Is that we're still talking about the Wiimote, or
yeah,
are we
we're
on
still
to
talking
these
about the
third party?
Wiimote. That's why I wanted to bring up this topic and why it's a lot more controversial than I thought to talk about than it seems
Yeah,
like.
I guess, at the end of the day, that stuff seems, that stuff is third party, and third party stuff usually gives a little bit more what do you call it, options and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I personally, my own personal preference is just like someone who likes to play the game. I or just in games in general, I don't like to change my controller settings. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's like just get in, just I want to play the game as soon as possible, and the default settings work for me. Now I understand, like, as you get more and more like higher pro player, um, you want to change your controls because it's optimal,
Yeah,
Um, but somebody who's using this Wiimote, in my opinion, isn't playing optimally anyways. So to take all this time to map your control and this and that for some niche, like
yeah,
controller, it's I just think personally it's kind of like a waste of time, and but that could be fun for some people trying something weird and trying a controller. It could be fun, but in the world of like tournaments and trying to win and being competitive, I don't think um I think it's just slowing I just think it slows the tournament down, and um I'm sorry, I'm getting off track of your
go ahead.
original question.
Don't
But
worry.
yeah, I just think it slows the tournament down, but I have no problem if that person's a serious player and they really want to play, and they're going to tournaments every week, then I'm okay with it. But again, like um, that mapping, um, that's a third party device giving this Wiimote first party um, remote the ability to do stuff that other first party controllers can't do. I don't think that should be allowed if the Wiimote was allowed.
Yeah,
So that
yes.
to come back and answer your question, I don't think it should be allowed to do that extra
Yeah,
mapping.
because considering like we can't use like these are officially licensed controllers too. Like while these aren't official controllers, they are officially licensed and endorsed by Nintendo as been stated. So
Yeah,
like because these can't take
the power
advantage
A.
of this, and while this adapter here can, that's where the controversy originally starts out and draws its
Yeah,
ugly head, in my opinion, and why I'm personally against using this switch button mapping itself, but in my opinion, I'm willing to make the one exception just for this if this was allowed, but
yeah,
like for something like using because I already mentioned that this adapter can also connect Xbox and PlayStation controllers as well to the Switch.
mhm,
I'm against this adapter using that button mapping,
mhm,
like just that, for example.
yeah.
Would you agree as well, or
Um, yeah, yeah. Um, I think we try to you got to keep it as fair as possible. and not allow any extra, options or button mapping if it's not allowed. If it's not also on your first party, available on the first party controller. Yeah.
Because while
Okay.
this adapter can take advantage of the Switch
Can I
in
mean, let me
system
ask
button
you,
mapping
what is the
itself.
percentage?
Yeah.
What is the
So
percentage that you would think that would actually use the Wiimote
what
in tournament play? And these questions need to be brought up, because what if there is that kid that shows up that's like, I've
exactly?
never been to a tournament before. I've been practicing for a year, and I barely got out of the house. This is my first time ever seeing daylight. And I showed up to a tournament, and they tell me I can't use my Wiimote. And if it alters gameplay or puts a disadvantage to the opponent, then it can't be allowed. But if it can be proven that it's only adding an extra button, and someone may be comfortable. I'm going to give you another example of a person that I know, grassroots individual, one of the best commentators in Smash, Strides, 2GG Strides. His remote control usage from Brawl to Smash 4, he used the Wiimote and a nunchuck to play, and he was very good. So it was allowed at that time, but now, like you said, there's firmware updates. There's things that allow you to remap buttons. So this is all something new to the tournament scene as well. And like I said, I'm glad that you bring this up, because guys like me that run tournaments, Troy Stafford from PAL Gaming, 2GG, who else is out there? Who else is running tournaments anymore? I know there's a couple guys that are doing online stuff, but as far as like offline, there's an offline that's happening in Riverside. There's an offline that's happening right here in Anaheim every week. Those two tournament individuals, I'm not actually. They're running tournaments. Like, they're providing something for offline, which a lot of these guys are super hungry about it. Right now, my place in running tournaments right now is, I'm a soldier of the TGG family. Like, I ride and fight for the grassroots individuals. My company is right next to them, partnered with them. They support a lot of stuff that we do. You see Rad Roach and Mighty Man now on their channel, streaming and presenting graphic arts and doing commentary. Like, running tournaments right now, like, I'll give it to the guys that don't really care. Like, they just want to run tournaments. I get it. There's guys out there, and the guys that are doing it right now, they're young. They haven't run 100 tournaments yet. So when you start to get more underneath your belt, people start to look at you and respect you a little bit more. I'm happy that they're offering something, but I also have to say, okay, why are you doing it right now? Like, are you just doing it to try to get your name out early? Or really, are you making $5? You're not making a ton of money. They're giving out $100, I think. So that would make if they did $100, then they got to figure out something with the bar venue. I don't know. It's not worth it for $40. I'm going to reverse that. For years, I threw tournaments for free. Like, I made no money for years because I would have to buy food for people and transportation, all that stuff. But guys that are throwing tournaments right now, like, they haven't sacrificed that yet. Until you get to having nothing and keeping going off of nothing, and still be here, that earns respect. But right now, those guys are just hosting tournaments. Those guys, I don't even think they would care, or they would even want to look into it that far right now. But as far as larger organizations, Thunder Gaming, Esports Arena, 2G Gaming, Game Crossing, like, that's something we would have to definitely evaluate, and probably do some side testing to see if we have to find out what can go wrong.
It's such a niche. Like, it'd be like one person, it's like that one person on Twitter that cares about something a lot, and they just keep talking about it. You know what I mean? They go to tournaments and be like, well, then just complain that they can't use their Wiimote. And so like, allowing it, if I allow it, do I get like, let's say, does my tournament goers increase by 20%? No, I might get one person who's like, oh cool, I can use my Wiimote. So yeah, so I wouldn't do it because I need to keep my tournaments eligible, considered in the ranking, which is fair for all, which is more fair to the rest of the players. You never know, like, imagine if I allowed it once at a tournament, and somebody, I don't know who would be this petty or do this, but you know um top four, we have, like, I don't know, like, like 3 or 5 PR players there, and then one PR player didn't like the results of the test, or the tournament, and goes to the PR panel and say, oh well, he allowed someone with a Wiimote, or imagine someone with a Wiimote beats that guy and sends them in losers. That would be the more like likely, because it sends them in losers, and like he just had an off, he had an off day or whatever, and he sends them in losers, and then he gets like fourth or fifth or whatever, and then goes like, oh, we allowed a Wiimote, so these results shouldn't be counted or weighted, and then it's like it's an issue for no reason. So yeah, so the rules don't allow it currently, so I wouldn't do it, and then also allowing it isn't going to increase the attendance, so
Like,
that's my yeah, and I think it's personally, I just think it's kind of silly.
yeah.
As far as the Wiimote, my answer right now would be no. Until we did more research in regards to what it actually can do. Because I haven't touched a Wiimote. I don't know. I mean, last time I touched a Wiimote was probably like 3 weeks ago when I cleaned out my garage and I was setting up the Wii out there. The last time I actually played with the Wiimote, actually played with one, has probably been like 2-3 years. It's been a while. So like I said, it's definitely has to be. It's going to be something that it should be researched, because it does give an option, but how much time do we want to put in it? Because how many people are actually playing with Wiimotes? So those are the things you do. But am I willing to put a little time into it? Absolutely. Absolutely. If it can bring more people to a tournament and give somebody the opportunity to have as much fun as we do at offlines, what's it really about? It's not about the dollar for me. Money. I mean, I have a job at an esports. I'm an educator in esports. I have a career. I own my own company. I sell video games. I do a lot of things, but the money from Game Crossing, it's Game Crossings, but like putting the time into it, I'm not losing anything out of it. If anything, I'm gaining an opportunity to bring in more people. And then, maybe 10 years down the line, if Game Crossing has 10 zeros in its bank account, with an actual number at the beginning, that would be great. But it takes a lot of work to get this far, especially with us trying to wait for esports to catch up to us. But
yeah, I wouldn't allow it, and my 2 reasons are because the rules doesn't allow it, and number 2, it doesn't provide anything to the community. It's not gonna increase attendance, and if it does, it's gonna be like one person. So
Yeah.
overall, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not
I'm
a much.
not.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
maybe you'll come to my tournament, right?
Yeah. Maybe I'll come to one of your tournaments and I'll just pull this out just for the memes, and then we'll just do. Like, obviously, I might get in trouble with you guys, but hey, I'm willing to like just at least do like I'm at least willing to just bring it and see like just for experimenting, of course. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think like if I'm not allowed to, I'll respect you guys.
Yeah, I don't mind like putting time in and testing it. Like I said, from my mental point of view and perspective of the situation and the environment and the industry, the ecosystem, I'm here just to give people opportunity, man. And if there's opportunity to add to the scene, I'm pretty much for it. But if like I said, if it creates a disadvantage to competitive play, that's kind of like a taking a knife to my heart, man. I'm like, it's gotta be fair, man. And you gotta walk away knowing that if you won, you walk away victorious and you're proud, your head's up. You lost, you got to suck up your pride. You live to fight another day, and you learn from your mistakes. If there's any type of disadvantage in there, it's like, you can't really like, you can't have those feelings, because then if you're the victor, you can't walk away proud because you cheated. And cheating is a big word in my house. We don't use that word. We don't use that word really a lot. Cheating in my house is like saying the F word in my house. And it's a bad word to me. Like, you want to call somebody a cheater, you better have some good proof, because that's basically that's like the ultimate word that in competitive gaming. Like, if you call somebody a cheater, you better be ready to back up your statement. I'd say back in the day, I'd punch you in the face, but if you called me a cheater, but today you can't do that. Like, you can't be physical like that. You have to prove things with credibility and backing and proper backing. But yeah, man, like, can it be legal? Yeah. Are you gonna have memers? Yeah. Are you gonna have people that cringe? Yeah. But in all, it's like those people don't have the vision to see that it comes down to it. It's a game. It's a game. But in certain situations, we have to put in proper rule sets and allow proper equipment. So, and everyone should be able to have this argument like you're bringing to me about a piece of equipment. Everyone should have that right, and everyone should take advantage of that right. If you have a question, the TOs are the perfect ones to go to, because you never know. You might change Smash for the better. And if it doesn't change it, then at least you tried, right? Worst anybody could say it was no, and you have some good content to put out.
I really want to thank Wiz and HylianDave so much for sitting down and chatting with me to discuss using a Wiimote for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and its tournament legality. I also uploaded the full interviews I did with them. If you want to hear the entire conversation about us discussing the legality of using a Wii Remote in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate events, you can find a link to that in the description as well. If you like what you see here, subscribe to me here on YouTube and follow me on twitch.tv/VorileBemx. I stream every Friday at around 12 p.m. PST, and join me on Discord. Links to those will be in the description as well. That's going to be it for this video, and thanks so much for watching. I hope you all have a good day.